open doors when there's no key. My guiding light when I can't see. Nothing is impossible because of you.
Good evening, good evening, good
Good
evening, and
evening.
welcome. It is Thursday, 9 o'clock, and we are here on the couch.
Hello.
That's Veta,
And that's Mac.
and this is Couch
Couch
Conversations.
Conversations.
I keep telling you, I look so forward to being here every week,
Yes, we do.
and I can't
Husband.
tell you how much I have been looking forward to this. Not because of the topic, mind you, because the topic we got, but I just love being here, and I love sitting on this couch and looking at my beautiful wife with her fine self and just
You find
being
yourself,
able to
sir.
share. uh it's wonderful. And so thank you for being here with me, being part of the reason why I'm able to be here. I wouldn't be able to be here without you. And it's not because we're married, but it's because it's you. You
Mm.
support me, you push me, you grow me, you help me to mature. And I tell you what, I wouldn't be the man I am today without you.
I'm supposed to do that.
That is so true.
Yes, I'm your helpmate.
Amen.
I'm
And
supposed to
she
help
helped
you
me.
in everything.
Lord, she helped me. Thank you, Jesus. Shataba. Anyway, we are here and it is April 15th. And so tonight's topic is one that surely will hit home with all of us. And I say
Yeah.
us because we learn as much as we try to teach you guys, as much as we try to help provide information to you. We also learn in the process of preparing to share with you. So don't think for 1 minute that there's not growth happening here also.
Right.
We grow with whatever we share with you.
Yep.
Um,
Well, we have grown
yes, we
with
have.
everything we
We
share with
have.
you.
So we just want you to know that. Uh,
Now we try to be so transparent in everything that we talk about. So whatever we share with you, we've talked with each other or have had a discussion about it, and it's coming from the heart. It's
mm,
not. It's nothing
absolutely.
made up. We don't have a script. We have notes just to stay on task, so we don't
Right.
go off topic.
Right.
But everything that we share, um, it's what we've been through or what we will learn when we go through it. And just having you as our community, and watching us and listening to us helps us to further grow together and help you grow in your marriage together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tonight, before we get into the topic, remember you want to subscribe to all of our social media. Follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, because we're not just uploading the episodes of the show,
Up there.
we're also uploading all of the other content. We're sharing tidbits and thoughts. We're sharing uh, concepts and ideas. And that's also the place for you to connect with us. Send us a direct message. Let us know that there's something specific you want us to cover. Let us know how the show's impacting you. We want to hear from you. We want to make sure that we're adding value to your life. And so send us a message and let us know, hey, talk about this, or it was wonderful when you mentioned that. Let us know. Communicate with us.
Encourage us.
That's right. All of that, because we're here for you.
No,
uh,
no negative comments.
we just want to make sure that we're supplying positive and productive and valuable information and resources for you and your spouse. So follow us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook. Reach out to us. Let us know how we can help you. If you're having other challenges that we haven't talked about, send us a message and ask us to cover a topic that you might need help with. You can be anonymous. It's quite all right. We
It's
won't put
quite
you
all
out
right.
there, but we certainly want to hear from you. We are planning to do a live Q&A show where you'll be able to type in your questions
Yeah.
while we're live. We're going to do
That'd be
that. We're
fun.
setting it up. So that week we won't have any specific topic. We'll just have a live Q&A. So make sure you let us know what it is that you want to talk about, what else you want us to cover. Amen. All right. So tonight we are talking about insecurities. What are
Insecurities.
we protecting?
And who
Who are
are
we
we
protecting?
protecting?
The challenge with insecurities is there's always an issue. There's something that you're trying to hold. And you cannot think, at least I know I can't think about the word insecurities or the concept insecurities without picturing a security blanket.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because what do? We use those security
Yep.
blankets to make us feel secure, to make us feel safe. As young kids, we have the blanket. Some kids will have a teddy bear, a stuffed animal, something that has become a focal point of their feeling safe and secure. And as long as they have that with them, then they're okay. In marriages, I think we don't have those figurative security blankets because our safety has been so challenged by life, by previous relationships, by experiences that we had as adolescents and young children. And so as adults, we've entered into the marital relationship,
Hmm.
and yet we're looking for some figurative or imaginative security blanket. And when that blanket is removed from our immediate possession,
Hmm.
we become insecure.
Or maybe sometimes when we get married, our insecurity um becomes not becomes, but it gets because we're thinking about the marriage so much
Mhm.
that hides the insecurities. Like the marriage itself is just like, oh, I'm not going to think about it because the marriage is my security.
Hiding behind the
Yeah,
marriage to not
to
deal
not
with,
deal with
absolutely,
secure
sure, sure,
the
sure,
insecurities.
yeah. And
And
insecure, go ahead.
when I think of insecurities, I think of self.
Hmm.
Like everything that's I'm thinking about that's negative about self,
Right.
or like that I see other people's that I like I would want. I mean, not me personally, but when I think of insecurity, I think of like self in that like
Hmm.
I'm insecure
Right.
because, or I feel insecure because.
Mhm.
So just thinking about yourself being insecure in any part of your mental thought or your relationship or your marriage.
The very definition of insecurity is uncertainty or anxiety about oneself,
Yeah.
lack of confidence, the state of being open to danger or threat, lack of protection.
Mm.
Dictionary.com for those who want to fact check that.
And insecurities from my definition, well, my not my definition, but a definition that I found.
Mhm.
It says that insecurities can be standards set by people we interact with. It can develop when we compare others to ourselves. We compare ourselves to others.
Right.
So we will recognize the difference between ourselves and others. And that's from the lifehack.org.
Yeah. Insecurity is a feeling of inadequacy, not being good enough, and uncertainty. It produces anxiety about your goals, relationships, and ability to handle certain situations. If I don't think I'm good enough,
Hmm.
I'll shrink back. I'll let an opportunity pass me by. If I don't think I'm qualified enough, then I will not allow myself to be chosen or to be elevated or to be promoted. I'll keep myself, I'll hinder myself because of insecurities. And when we do that in the marriage, then it becomes a lacking marriage.
Mm,
And a lacking marriage will always be left.
yeah.
I don't care who you are. When your marriage is lacking, you're going to leave. Maybe not physically, maybe you don't get a divorce, but you're
You
not
check out
all there.
mentally.
You're
Yeah.
checked out mentally, you're checked out
Yeah,
emotionally.
emotionally.
And so insecurity is one of the most impactful negative aspects of relationships. It's something that causes divorce, but people miss the insecurity being the cause because of the ramifications
Mhm.
of insecurity. I'm not leaving you because you're insecure. I'm leaving you because you're closed off emotionally, right?
Because of the okay,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
because of
The
the insecurity.
insecurity causes you to be closed off, but I don't see the insecurity. I just see the closed offness.
Well, in marriages, do we even talk about the others insecure? Like, do we talk about um your own insecurity in your marriage? Do you talk to your spouse about that? Do they know that you have insecurities about yourself or about the relationship or about stuff that's happening in the marriage? So do we even open up to who we say is our best friend and
Hmm.
say we have those insecurities, or do we just keep it in and keep it bottled up, and then it manifests into doubts about stuff and fears, and then it grows into
Right.
uncertainties, and you not feeling like you're worth anything. It grows into lack of trust and feeling incapable of seeing your worth. So
Yeah.
do we even communicate that in marriages?
That's the challenge. I think a lot of marriages don't do that. Individuals won't address their insecurities because they're afraid
I was say
to be
shame. Yeah.
seen as lacking
Yeah.
or inadequate. And so, as a result of that, they won't
Or the perfect
discuss it.
spouse.
Oh,
Because
Lord
some of us do think
Jesus.
we
Listen,
I me, I
listen,
was like that for a while.
listen.
And in the beginning, I thought I was perfect. Miss Perfect cleaner, Miss Perfect wash the clothes, Miss Perfect
Hmm.
do this, Miss Perfect mom, perfect
Yeah.
this, perfect that.
And the danger wasn't in you thinking that you were, the danger was in you thinking you needed to be.
I need it. Oh, that's good.
That's the danger.
That's the danger.
It's not thinking that I am perfect. It's the danger in thinking I need to be.
I need it to be perfect.
At this in this day and age, 2021, this new millennium that we live in, A, nobody's perfect.
Nobody's
And
perfect.
two, I was never even close to being on the path to being perfected till we got married. Because you are, as you said earlier, my helpmate. You're what completes me, and you're what motivates me to be the best version of myself.
And no one has a perfect marriage. We're
No,
striving to love each other perfectly, but
there you go.
it's not
Say
going
that
to
again.
be a perfect marriage.
Exactly. Exactly.
Nobody has a perfect marriage.
No, no. One of the, you know me. I love my movie references. I love the reference that they made in Remember the Titans. It was at the end of the movie when they were in the last game. They went into the locker room at halftime, and the coach was saying, "Y'all did your best. You play." He was ready to concede the game,
Mhm.
and the player stepped up. He said, "Listen, none of us individually are perfect.
Mhm.
We've all made mistakes. We've missed assignments. We haven't always done what we're supposed to
Mhm.
do. So none of us individually are perfect. However, that being said, the team came into the game perfect because even though people didn't always do what they were supposed to do, the team had a perfect record.
Mhm.
They always won because at the end of it all, as a collective, they got the job done. And
Yeah.
that's always stuck with me as it pertains to marriage. Because on the days when I come up short, Pastor Robbie says it all the time. My pastor, Robbie Davis in Celebration, Columbia, he always says in every marriage, the husband will have some days where he's not firing at 100%. And that's when the wife has to do her part and then some.
Yeah.
And no, there'll be days when the wife's not always firing at 100%. So the husband has to do his part and then
Yeah.
some. See, this whole notion of 50-50, meet me halfway, that doesn't get it done. I'm sorry. You can say what you want, you can believe what you want. If I give my wife half of me, half an effort, meet me halfway, that's not going to cut it. I have to give you all of me, like the song says.
All
I
of
knew that was
me
coming. I wasn't gonna make the reference, but
loves
I knew that was coming.
all of you.
I have to
Love
give
your
everything that I
curves
have, and my
all your
wife
edges,
needs to
all
give
your
everything that she
perfect
has. Why? Because
imperfection.
on those days when she's not able to give 100% for whatever reason, stress at work, physically ill,
I do not own the rights
emotionally.
to that song. I have to say, you have to say that now. That was John Legend. Sorry, I do not own the rights to that song.
Lord have mercy, I was not expecting you to do that. But if you're not giving 100%, then you're creating a lacking environment. It's like saying we're going to have a 7-course meal and only preparing 3.
Yeah.
And how see, that's a good example, because if we're going to have a 7-course meal, but I want you to meet me halfway, then that means that I'm making 3.5 courses
Mm-hmm.
and you're making 3.5 courses. How do I make a half a course with you without you? How does that work? It doesn't.
Yeah, but I I was about to say I sometimes I guess that is a like a no, I don't want to say a cliche, but I guess we grew up hearing that like 50-50
Sure.
makes a 100% marriage. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you bring 50, I bring 50,
Mm-hmm.
and then that completes the marriage.
Right.
But I feel like we do bring um half of ourselves to the marriage, because when you come and you're single first,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be single before you become married.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so yeah. I forgot. We in 2021.
Message. Yeah.
But you're bringing half of yourself anyway. I think, because when you're single, that is a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
That's not I don't think that's the whole of you. Like that's a part of you that you have to leave behind when you become married. And when you become one with your spouse, then you're both whole. So doesn't a half and a half make a whole?
When you're talking pizza, yes, but we're talking people. The reality is, when I was single and you were single, I did not bring half of me to you.
Well, do we bring all of our baggage in marriage?
Absolutely.
We do.
On purpose and on accident.
Some people don't.
Oh no, everyone. You
Bring
carry
all of your
When you're carrying baggage, it goes everywhere you
oh,
go. That's why it's so
some
vitally
baggage.
important to
Some
put it
I think
down.
some baggages
You would hope that
leave at
they
the airport.
would. Lost and found, but not found.
Lost and found.
Lost but not found.
I'm not bringing that baggage with me.
Ideally, we should not.
We shouldn't.
There is some baggage that we should leave behind. Uh, the truth is, even though we may leave baggage behind, we are not who we were before that bag was packed.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, as a result of having gone through that previous relationship, I've changed. So, I may have been single when we were together dating, and then I was single when we got married. If I had previous relationships, I'm altered as a result of those previous relationships.
Oh, because when we have a bag, when we going somewhere,
Listen,
you got to change. How many times?
listen.
We going somewhere. How many times we gonna change in the
Exactly.
marriage?
Exactly.
We going somewhere. 20 years.
Yeah,
We
that's
got to
right.
change. How
That's
many
right.
times?
And you keep changing. You With life, people should continue to evolve and grow and mature and
Listen to
change.
this. We just upgrade our bags.
Ooh, write that in your notes. You're going to write that down. Somebody put that in the chat box.
We just
You
upgrade our
just
bags.
upgrade your
You know, when you see
bags.
a nice suitcase, you're like, we need
It's
a
time
different.
for
It's time
something
for
new.
something new.
Listen, but it is so true. We do. We we don't leave part of who we are out of the marriage, or at least we shouldn't, because that's when it gets dangerous.
Yeah.
If I say I'm not going to bring that part of me into the marriage, then I'm already shorting you. I'm already depriving
Oh, that
you
makes sense.
of all of me.
That makes sense.
Now,
That makes
I
sense.
should leave old baggage. I should leave old feelings, old thoughts, old desires. Those things should be left
Yeah, because
out
that
of the
old stuff don't
marriage.
fit you no more.
Listen, listen, buy you a
You
new
didn't
wardrobe.
gain a little more. You done lost.
Okay.
You need to buy
Ugh.
some new
People be
upgrades.
holding on to stuff longer than they need to.
Mm-mm.
And I promise you, holding on to old baggage does not make you stronger. It makes you weaker,
Yeah.
because you're carrying something that becomes a burden. And if you did pick the right spouse, now they're helping you to carry that burden and they don't even know what they're
What it
carrying.
is. Oh yeah, that's so true.
It gets so dangerous when we bring that old baggage into the new relationship, into the new house, because now I'm forcing you, watch this, I'm forcing you to respect my old baggage. You just can't inspect it.
Mm, that's good.
You have to acknowledge that it's there. You have to respect the fact that I have this old baggage. You just can't ask me about it. We just can't talk about it.
That's like
You
having
just
that.
can't know about it.
That's good. That's like having that old purse. Oh, that's my favorite purse, but you
Hmm.
don't use it,
Never,
and
never
you
use it.
keep
Don't go
buying a
in it.
new one.
Yep.
Oh, because I need it bigger.
Right.
No, because I need a different color.
Right.
No, because I need. And then that old bag is still
In
sitting
the back
in
of the
the back of the
closet.
closet. When you gonna get rid of that bag?
Right.
When you gonna get rid of the bag?
Right. And don't touch the bag. Don't touch. Listen, fellas, if she ain't touch it, don't you touch it. Because I'm telling you,
Till I give
you're gonna
you
get cut.
permission.
You're gonna get cut. I got scars right on that. Anyway, so relationship insecurity. Insecurity is what we're talking about. And it's so important. It's vitally important that we focus on, first of all, our own insecurities.
Right.
And you hear this said, you're gonna hear this in the lion's share of the advice and suggestions that we give and make to you. Just like when you're on the plane and they say, in case of an emergency, put your mask on first, then help somebody else. In a marriage, when it comes to or pertains to insecurities, help yourself first. Take care of yourself first, then try to assist your spouse. So I think the wine used to say, sweep around your own front door before you try to sweep around mine.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be the pot calling the kettle black. All of
Right.
those old
All of those
expressions
old
that
expressions, they make
say
sense.
avoid hypocrisy
Mm-hmm.
whenever possible. We all have stuff. We
Yeah.
all have baggage. We all have situations and issues. So you want to address them accordingly, and you want to start with your own. There's a theory out in the psychology world called attachment theory, and it originates out of a desire to connect the attachment patterns of early childhood to later relationship patterns and expectations. The long and short of it is, what I did or did not experience as a child, I am now looking for or looking to avoid as an adult.
Hmm. So it could be your past experiences or your upbringing
Exactly.
that can lead to insecurities.
Exactly. Like we talked about at the top of the show with the security blankets or the security teddy bears, things like, those kids who just have to have my whatever.
Mhm.
Anybody who watched Queen Sugar, not that they're a sponsor, but if you watch Queen Sugar, you remember those early
That's not a
episodes
sponsor.
where Blue, the little boy, had his little doll, Kenya. She was his security blanket. She made him feel safe. She made him feel confident and comfortable. Uh, as adults, we tend to lose our security blankets
Hmm.
because we move around, because we shift, we grow, we adjust, we change. And typically, we remove or allow to be disconnected from those people who caused us to be insecure.
Hmm.
And so, because the person is no longer in our life, we don't need or feel the need to clutch that blanket until someone else comes along and threatens the place where that old baggage is being stored,
Okay.
and it gets dangerous.
That's good.
When a child's attachment figures, parents, grandparents, guardians, uncles, aunts, those close ones, aren't reliably available and supportive, then that child or those children will tend to feel insecure. And it's always, what's wrong with me. You hear that a lot when uh the parent will leave, one parent will leave, the other one will stay, and then the kids will say, well, what's wrong with me? Why didn't daddy want to be with me? Why did mommy want to stay with me? Why didn't they want to take me with them?
Hmm.
And so they develop an unhealthy self image that's negative, that's depriving themselves of realizing, listen, it's not about me, it's about them. But at 3, 5, you don't process that.
What are some insecurities in marriages?
Some examples.
Yeah, examples.
The biggest one is jealousy. When I'm jealous of what someone else is getting from you, that's a sign of insecurity. If
Like
there's
what could your spouse be given to someone else? Oh, like time,
time, attention,
attention. Yeah.
and those are two of the biggest ones, really, time and attention. If we were talking about this before the show, always on the phone with other people,
Mm-hmm.
that can create a sense of insecurity, always needing to. And it's not just people, it can be social media.
Yeah.
You can create an atmosphere of jealousy pertaining to social media that says, I'm not good enough for you, or I'm not enough for you. You have to be engaged in other people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
Our life isn't enough for you. Our marriage isn't enough for you. You have to be engaged in someone else's relationship, marriage. Those people who are always, hey, it's Friday night. Let's invite so and so, so and so, so. Let's bring over there. Let me call them and see. Those people who always have to have other people in their vicinity, in their presence, in their circle.
Yeah.
That's a sign to a person with insecurity. I'm not enough for you. And so now I'm jealous because these other people get your time and attention and I don't. That's a sign of insecurity. Whenever you are jealous of what someone else is getting from your spouse. And I know I'm a little insecure every time you go to work
Why?
because they get to spend time with you and I don't.
Oh,
I don't like that.
but
Come
I'm
home.
working.
Work from home.
That's just selfish.
It
It's
is.
not insecurity.
It is. I
But
know.
what is that like if a spouse um is insecure when their spouse leaves out?
Abandonment issues. You're
Uh
insecure because you have abandonment issues. You had someone who was supposed to be there, a parent, a grandparent, an aunt, uncle, a friend, someone that you had become attached to early on. And for whatever reason, be it death, be it a job, be it, other forces, whatever it was, something separated you from them and you never got closure.
but can't that become annoying to the spouse who that the other is doing it to? Like if
If
you're constantly trying to figure out where I am, like with the Find My Phone app.
hmm
And if you're constantly trying to find me, oh,
hmm
I see that you here. Oh, where you going? Oh,
right.
like that would cause somebody to get out of
Absolutely.
like if you don't
Absolutely.
have that many tabs on me
Yeah.
when I leave out the house,
Yeah.
then
And
guess what?
it's dangerous. It's very dangerous when you have someone who is dealing with jealousy based on the insecurity of abandonment because they do that. They create an uncomfortable environment for
Uncomfortable.
you.
That yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm
It's
making things
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable for you, but watch this. What is the old expression? Hurt people,
Hurt
hurt
people.
people. Well, if I'm uncomfortable, I want you to be uncomfortable too.
But I was thinking maybe it's yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's a mental thing. Like maybe the insecurity becomes like scared or concerned
hmm
because it might not be, it might be a concern because some people are of, well, since the COVID thing, some people believe that I don't want you to go because of this and you might not return. And so
Yeah.
many people have passed and I don't want you to touch. Maybe it's like a scared or a fearful thing or, um,
It can be a safety thing where I'm concerned for your safety and your well-being.
mhm.
And that manifests similarly and yet differently because there's a fine line between I'm genuinely concerned for your safety and I don't want you to leave me.
Mhm.
And that line gets crossed more times than not when I'm dealing with insecurity.
So can if that's the case, that if I'm insecure about myself, that
Mhm.
can uh mean that what I'm feeling, I'm projecting it to you.
Absolutely.
And that okay. So that
Absolutely.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So if
And
I'm secure about I'm not saying me personally, but if I'm a person in a marriage and I'm insecure about the way I look
mhm.
or the way I talk or
That's a
like
good that's a
something,
good one to change. Yeah.
and because I'm insecure about that,
Mhm.
I feel like um I can't even think now.
If
I just
you
have a brain freeze. I had it, and then when I started talking, it was just like
if one spouse in the marriage deals with the insecurity of their self-image, their body
self-image.
image,
Yes, yes.
they're going to reject all compliments. They're going to reject all advancements. They're going to reject every statement of beauty reference from their spouse. Oh, you just saying that because you have to. You're just saying that. You don't really mean it.
I used to do
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I didn't mean to say yeah that quick.
Uh, well,
Yeah,
I did.
you
You
did.
telling the truth. I said I
I
used
be
to. I
trying
didn't
not
say
to throw you under the
I'm.
bus.
We being transparent.
We
I
are
mean,
being
don't throw me
transparent.
under the bus, but we're transparent. We used to go through these things,
Yeah.
and if it's going to help somebody, I don't mind. Like I
Amen.
don't mind. I don't. People, I can
Yeah.
go ahead. I mean, like, so what you saying? So, like you're saying, if I'm concerned about my image,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to reject everything. Like
Everything.
you're so beautiful,
Yeah.
but if I am if I have low self-esteem about myself
Mm-hmm.
and then someone else tells you that and I get mad,
Tells me what?
like you fine, or
If you have
you
low
go,
self-esteem about yourself,
and I
and then
reject your
compliments about
compliments
you,
about me, but I hear someone complimenting you
compliment me,
and then I get upset.
that's a whole nother other thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a
I was
whole
about to well,
separate
because
thing.
I was thinking about that while I was trying to get it out, and I was like,
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah, that's a whole separate thing when we are engaging in that kind of behavior. If I'm not allowing my spouse to receive platonic compliments or maybe even hidden agenda compliments, if I'm not allowing my spouse to receive them, that's a whole nother other
Oh,
issue.
okay, so we not.
It can be a form of insecurity if I don't know how to compliment you, if I don't know how to communicate that I find you attractive. And then too, uh, it can also be kind of a caveat of one's own self-esteem.
Mm,
Because if I'm struggling with my own physical image and I'm rejecting your statements or your perception of me,
mm-hmm.
then I will become closed off
Yeah.
and I won't pay you any attention. And then when someone else comes along and they are paying you attention and you like it,
Oh yeah. That's another.
now I'm
Isn't that another
jealous.
topic?
It
That's another topic.
yeah, but it gets dangerous because again, why are you telling my spouse how good they look? Like, why do you need to do that? Why does my spouse light up when someone else tells
Cause you
them
married a
that they
fine
look?
spouse, and you should be scared that they go out if they go out without you.
Well,
No,
no, I
you
wouldn't
shouldn't
say
be.
that. But
I'm
the thing
sorry. I
is,
no, you shouldn't.
yeah, you shouldn't.
You
The,
should
the,
trust your spouse though,
you should, and you should be the first compliment they receive, not
because
the
when those
second.
other ones come,
Right,
they hear the ones back at home, and they was
right.
like, I got my spouse at
You
home.
should know. I mean, granted, you might not have the opportunity if your spouse is at home and they're getting dressed to go out and you're not there, unless you do like I do, FaceTime, because I know you finna go somewhere and I want to see you first. You may not have the opportunity to be the first compliment they receive. Nevertheless, your spouse should not receive any compliment about their appearance for the first time from somebody out in the street.
That's right.
They should already know. Okay, maybe it's a new dress, maybe it's some new suit or some new shoes or what have you. Maybe they just got their hair done. Maybe she just left the salon and her hair is, I don't even know what the word they use now these
Just
days,
say it looks
but it,
good.
it looks really, really good. And so I
We can't
wasn't there
keep
to
up
pick
with
her up.
these
That's not what I'm
phrases.
saying. But what I'm saying is my wife should never hear more compliments from people in the street than she hears from me.
That's right.
And vice versa, wives. You need to tell your husbands now. If you don't think that your spouse is physically attractive, that's a whole nother other show.
That's a whole never other
Have a
show.
conversation though.
Well, you already in a marriage, like why
Listen,
would you have a conversation? Well, I mean, because
because people
people change. You're
change.
right.
People change. I know I put on some weight after we got married.
It's good weight, babe.
Oh yeah, I ain't,
You
well,
still
I don't know
fine.
about all that. Some of this weight can
I
be.
mean, you fine.
I'll share. Anybody out there skinny looking for some, you want to gain some weight, I'd be happy.
Be
I can ship
quiet.
it to you, free shipping. Just send me a message and an address. It's coming your way.
That's that love weight. You
Listen,
love so much that
listen. That's that. I don't feel like going to the gym today.
you
Weight.
go to the
That's
gym.
what
You
that
fine.
is.
You
In the name of
fine.
Jesus, praise the Lord. We done got so far off track.
We did. Sorry.
One
Look,
of
that's why we gotta keep
right. That's what
looking
these
at our
notes are
notes.
for. one of
Oh,
the things,
oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, 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 go
No,
ahead.
I was about to say, we were talking about when you don't talk about your insecurity with your
Right,
spouse.
right.
Unsurfaced insecurities can amplify the lack of trust in a person.
Yes,
So
yes,
if you're not bringing it to your spouse, if you're not saying, "Hey, this makes me insecure," and you're not talking about it, it can amplify the lack of trust that you have in your spouse.
yes, yes. And people pick up on that kind of thing. If you're not careful, your spouse, when you don't verbally communicate, you're leaving your spouse, you're forcing your spouse to then only interpret your body
Yeah.
language. And if your face says, I'm disgusted, even if you're not disgusted with your spouse, if they figure out, okay, that face is the disgusted face,
Mhm.
I must have done something wrong.
Yeah.
They're going to take it personal.
Yeah.
And it could very well not be your spouse's fault, but because you're not communicating,
Yes.
because I'm not talking about the baggage that I'm mad at or disgusted with,
Right.
you're going to take it personal. You're going to think it's something that you did.
Right.
And we have to be careful with that.
And previous relationships or past relationships can bring insecurities into a healthy relationship, and it can cause negative emotions, anxiety, and low self-esteem. So if you're bringing that uh old relationship or old things that happened to a new healthy relationship, then that can also cause the spouse to be insecure because of it.
Yeah. They're really essentially, for the most part, three types of insecurities: insecurity based on recent failure or rejection,
Hmm.
insecurity based on a lack of confidence because of social anxiety,
Hmm.
and then insecurity driven by what we were talking about earlier, perfectionism. If I haven't done it exactly right, or not perfect, there I'm not perfect, therefore I have failed, therefore I'm not worthy, therefore I don't deserve, therefore this isn't. It goes on and on and on.
Yeah. Can
Um,
insecurities be anything other than physical appearance in a marriage?
yes,
What?
yes,
Name some.
there can be insecurities are physical, they're
Mental.
mental, and they're emotional.
What kind of mental insecurity
What you think,
would you think about the other person or yourself?
overthinking,
Overthinking. Okay.
overthinking, because I hear you, but I'm thinking that you're leaving something out,
Mhm.
or I hear you, and yet I'm thinking that what you said is not really what you
Oh,
wanted.
that's a bad habit.
Oh gosh,
Isn't that a
overthinking.
bad like if you're overthink like if somebody say, "Oh, you look nice." And
What are
then in
you
your
really
head
trying to
you're just
say?
like, "What are they really trying to say? That why
That's
didn't they say I look beautiful? Why didn't they say that?"
right.
Like that's
Mhm.
a
You really
lot.
think you
You
really
really
think
think
this is
this is
nice?
nice?
Yeah,
Well, what did you think? Well,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. That overthinking, that that because you're always thinking and you're trying to you've heard me say this a lot. You're always trying to outthink the other person, and it gets so dangerous because now, no matter what you say, I think there's something else
Else,
there,
yeah. You
and
like
that
read between the lines.
yeah, and those people who wear their heart on the sleeve, or those people who do shoot straight from the hip, and I'm
Yeah.
telling you, this is it, and yet you're overthinking it, so you're thinking that there's something else there when there really isn't.
So what's an emotional insecurity?
Those feelings, that feelings of inadequacy, feelings of not being worthy of anything. If I don't, I'm not. I'm looking for a feeling of security or safety that I'm not sensing
Mhm.
because of me feeling like, oh, excuse me, I don't deserve it. When we get into an insecurity based on or rooted in our emotions,
Mhm.
somewhere in our yesterday we were emotionally broken,
Mhm.
torn down, beat up, what have you, and as a result of that, we struggle with love, we struggle with security, we struggle with grace, because somebody let us down emotionally.
Mhm.
And all of it has to do with our past experiences, whether it's emotional, whether it's mental. If I look at myself in the mirror and I don't see something that I think I should see,
Mhm.
or I don't see what I want to see, then it's going to fall back on mental and emotional. Do I have the mental capacity to make an adjustment? Do I feel that I can accomplish
Mm.
something if I put my foot to it? We'll avoid things in life because we're insecure about them.
Yeah.
We'll avoid conversations, we'll avoid tasks, we'll avoid projects because that feeling of inadequacy,
Mhm.
that feeling of not being capable
Right.
of getting it done, completing the work. And so we'll struggle with that. And it's dangerous when we don't communicate with our spouse that this is a touchy subject for
Well, because your spouse can make you feel secure if you're conversating about your insecurities. Your spouse is your helpmate. So that helpmate can help you feel a little better. It might not make the insecurity disappear right away.
me.
But if you're communicating constantly about something that you're having problems with in your marriage that's making you insecure, it can help you. Like you're supposed to build each other up. You're
Right.
supposed to encourage each other. You're supposed to have each other's back.
Yeah.
And if that's truly your helpmate, your best friend, your ride or die, whatever
Right.
that's an old saying, but
Whatever phrase
whatever
you want to
phrase you want to
use,
use,
if that's what they're supposed to
if that's
be,
what they're
that's what they
supposed to be,
are.
and you're in it forever because you're in a marriage forever till
Right.
death do you part, then that helpmate should be good enough to help you feel built up,
Yeah.
to help you feel like, oh, I can go to him with this, and he will make me feel better
Yeah.
about it. It might not, like I said, it might not disappear right away, or might
Right.
not make you feel better immediately, but it can make you uh, feel like you can face your insecurities
Yeah.
more together,
Yeah.
together, because that's what we want in marriage. We want to build each other up and not tear each other down in marriage. It's so important not to tear each other down in your marriage, because where you tear down, someone else outside of it will build that
Every
person
time.
up. So you don't want
Every
that.
time. Chronic insecurity robs you of your peace and prevents you from being able to engage with your partner in a relaxed and authentic way.
Mm.
Psychology today. We've got to get to the place where, despite our insecurities, I'm going to bring that and everything else I have to the table.
Mhm.
That's that 100%. I need, if I'm trusting you to be my spouse, to be the person that I sleep with, to be the person that I'm doing life with,
That I share
that
goals with, that
I
yeah,
should be doing all of those things, and I should be trusting you with my
right.
baggage. Because if you don't do that, if I'm not trusting my spouse with the difficult parts of my being,
Mhm.
then I should never have married you in the first place.
Right.
We keep thinking that I'm just going to move in and move on and ignore the baggage,
Mhm.
but you're ignoring baggage you're carrying.
Mm. Bag lady.
Listen,
Bag lady. You gon'
sang
hurt
Erica
yourself.
Badu.
I forgot the words. I do not own the rights to the words of that song either.
Oh,
That I
Lord.
did not know.
Listen, I want to give you a few things to take with you before we get out of here. Some tips for moving forward. The first one is find the root cause of your insecurity.
I have that, babe.
Got to figure that
How
out.
do you manage your insecurities in your marriage? I have that was my first one.
Got to start with that.
Identify the root.
You have to.
Come on, team.
That's what it's about. Get to the root cause of your insecurity. Why am I insecure? Why is this a touchy area for me?
And once you identify it, it's going to be uncomfortable.
Mhm.
But wouldn't it be better to be uncomfortable with your spouse,
Hello.
to talk about it and feel uncomfortable and be you're going to be ashamed, but be ashamed and cry about it with your spouse, with your best friend,
Mm,
than not to talk about it all and be isolated and alone
right,
and not talk about it with your spouse.
right.
So identify the root with yourself first and then share it with your spouse.
Yeah. You would be surprised at the response you get from your spouse about what you open up to them regarding.
Yeah, because they probably have no idea,
Yeah.
especially if you haven't spoke about it.
That's why you've been acting
That's
like
why you've
this
been
all this
acting that way
time.
all
Because of
these
that,
years.
we are afraid to acknowledge some of our insecurities because we think our spouse is going to think differently of us.
Yeah,
In some instances, your spouse thinking differently of you based on your experiences can be a good thing.
it can.
If I know that when I say this, do this, that's a trigger for you regarding your insecurities because of that old situation,
Mm.
I can maybe avoid that.
Oh, let me explain one thing that in the beginning of our marriage that I did not like that you used to do.
Lord,
What do you remember?
there were so many things.
When we used to have we used to have debates. And you
Uh-huh.
used to call me young. Young, that's that DC thing. Young.
Listen,
Young. I was like, I am not one of your boys. I'm calling me young.
that's different though.
But that's what made me feel insecure about myself because you made me feel like I was less than you.
Really?
Yes, just that word. It just sounds
By
so.
using that?
I'm just saying. It just sounds so juvenile. Young, young. It
Wow.
just made me feel like I was not your wife. Like I was just some other
I never knew that.
woman or whatever.
I never knew
That's how
that.
you made me feel when you used to say that.
I'm
That's like
sorry.
when we. Oh, yeah, I
I'm
knew that.
sorry.
But come on, who was
Mr. Brown
Mr.
said,
Brown?
I'm sorry. Oh,
Medea stage play. Thank you. We do not own the rights to that.
listen, I borrowed it from Mr.
We
Brown.
borrowed it.
I borrowed it from Mr. Brown. Give him credit. Give him credit.
But that's what made me.
Hey,
in
y'all
the
better learn how
beginning.
to say you sorry and mean it. I meant it. We joking, but I meant
But
it.
oh, that used to push my buttons
Mhm.
and it made me shut down
Sure.
because I did not like that. Like it made me just feel so
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
Like because you didn't see me other than some
Right.
boy on the street or whatever, or
Right.
some child on the street or some girl on the street. Young, young. You used to be like young.
Well, when I was,
Bruh, or did
because
you
we
say
had
bruh
some.
or young?
No, I've
We
never
had
said bruh.
you
That's your
said
kids.
that's my son that said that.
That's your kids. The
But
crumb snatchers.
we've had in the beginning of our marriage, we had
Freeloaders in my
heated
house.
conversations. And he didn't know that made me feel that way. So I just used to be like sitting there like
Ooh.
he
And
used
that's
to say,
something
and
I
I just
couldn't
be like,
stand. I
and
can't
he'd be like,
stand
you
when
just
you
not
get
gonna finish the
quiet.
conversation. I just be like,
I couldn't stand when she got quiet.
my sister know this face.
I couldn't stand when she got quiet. That
And the conversation was just like ending. He was like, "Oh, so you're not gonna," and I just like, and I was like, "Don't say that." But I never told him.
It was a minute before I
Like it
heard
was
you
a
say
minute
that.
before I let him know that I did not like that,
Yeah.
and that did make me feel insecure. It just made me feel like I was nothing to you. So have the conversation. Like let your spouse know what pushes your button, what makes you feel insecure. Identify the root so you can love each other more and build each other up more.
Absolutely. Another tip for
All
moving
right, go ahead.
forward: stop overthinking.
Stop
I think we've
overthinking.
talked that one enough.
How many you have?
Just 4 or 5 or 12.
Oh.
No, just
4 or
5.
5 or
Just
12.
5. And I mean, I can blow through. I don't need
10
to. I
minutes.
don't need to
I'm
unpack
not
this one.
anymore.
I think we've unpacked them enough.
Go ahead.
Um, but here's the biggest one. I mean, stop the negative relationship experiences of your past.
Mm.
I think we should learn from everything that we go through
Learn from
and let
and
go
let
of
go of.
the negative relationship experiences from your
That's
past.
a good one.
And
Write
it's
that
not
down.
just boyfriend girlfriend relationships because we carry baggage into the relationship from every relationship from before. Friends, cousins,
Mm-hmm.
aunts, uncles, grandparents, co-workers, old schoolmates, whatever you want to call it, we bring baggage into every relationship from every other relationship.
Mm-hmm.
We're tainted by every relationship we've ever had.
We are.
And
Yep.
so as a result of that, when it's a negative relationship, then we get stuck at that point of negativity.
Right.
And we tend to wait for this person who says all the right things to do that one thing that we know they're about to do. You're talking real good and you're sounding real good, just like they did.
Mm-hmm.
And then they turn around and stab me in the back.
Right.
So I'm just waiting for you. Okay, you sound good. You saying the right things. I'm just waiting. You gonna stab me in the back. So I'm gonna have one foot out the door
Mm.
because I know you about to come back because that's what happened to me before.
Don't think like that. Just enjoy it. Like
Listen,
enjoy the healthy.
you have to. And what may not seem healthy can be made healthy.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
Give your marriage a colonoscopy.
Ooh, don't those hurt?
Oh yeah, well. Get some vegetables. Here's the get you some marital broccoli and keep it moving. The last one I'm gonna give you that we're gonna move on to Veda's verse. Trust the marriage you build with your spouse to protect you and your
I have
spouse
that
from
too.
yesterday.
Come
How did
on.
you put it?
I just said how to manage your insecurities in your marriage.
Mhm.
Trust the spouse that you married.
Yeah,
That's all I said. Trust the spouse that you married.
yeah. You married them for a reason. And we are not here to tell you to walk away. We're here to help you help each other create an environment that you can enjoy,
Yes.
as Pastor Bobby Davis says, far more than you will endure.
Yes.
There are going to be some days where you're just going to have to press through and endure the marriage until you get to the place where you can enjoy it again.
Oh, we look pretty now after 20 years now.
Listen,
Before we was
listen.
ugly.
Battle
The
scars.
first 5 years,
5 to 7.
it was no 7.
Yeah, 5 to 7.
Maybe 3 to 5. He
See,
exaggerates.
you remember
Maybe I
things
forgot.
differently than I do, my
Maybe as I
dear.
let stuff go faster.
Yeah, yeah. You remember things a lot differently than I do.
We look pretty now. We smiling now, but boy, oh boy,
I'm trying to
in the
tell you,
beginning we was ugly.
it was not always
It was not
blue
always
skies and
pretty.
rainbows.
It was not. And
It
rainbows.
wasn't. But that's it. Trust the marriage to protect you because, again, in your marriage, you and your spouse are building something together. That's why you've got to give everything that you have every single day as best as you humanly possibly can because you're building something together. And so you see us here bantering back and forth, and yet when it comes to offering advice, much of what we're offering you, we had individually. When we do the preparation for the show, I've said this before. We don't sit down and say, "Okay, you
Mm-mm.
write, you say this, and then I'm gonna say this." There is no
Right.
script.
Mm-mm.
We're recalling and recounting the last 20 years and what got us here, and we're offering it to you. So when we have the same lines of advice, it's because we've been through this
Right.
and we've studied and we've watched and we have gained the
We learned.
knowledge in so many different ways. And so that's how you get there. Trust the marriage to protect you and your spouse. Give them the opportunity to protect you more than you give them an expectation of hurting you. Because at the end of the day, your spouse is your first line of defense against this dark and cruel world. Let's go to Venice verse.
That is verse one at a time. When forgiving your spouse for something, it's important to be concrete. Forgiveness must be so specific that before we even think about forgiving, we should write down the exact thing we need to forgive. We should not forgive someone for being a bad person. Forgive what somebody does, not what he or she is. Piece by piece, one thing at a time. Don't forgive a spouse for being someone who always does something wrong. Do you have a tendency to generalize specific things your spouse does wrong into character assassination? And how Can you separate what he or she does from who he or she is? That is Vetta's verse for tonight.
Outstanding, outstanding, outstanding indeed. We hope and we pray that you will spend time with your spouse talking about those areas of your life that are insecurities
It
that you have.
matters.
It definitely matters. One underlying and yet always apparent theme in everything that we offer and tell you and share with you: communication is key.
Communication is the key.
It's so imperative that you communicate with your spouse about what you're thinking, about what you're feeling, about what you perceive as reality or as an insecurity in this instance, uh, even when you may not be aware of what the insecurity is.
Right.
I have a problem, I have an area of sensitivity. And every time this happens, every time you say this, it's uncomfortable for me. The first question will always be, why is it uncomfortable? And if your response is, I don't know, say that
Right.
and offer your spouse an opportunity to help you figure it out, unpack it, and get it.
Be
Uh,
truthful.
be
Listen.
truthful, be honest,
Be honest.
and
Listen.
be there,
And comfort each other after
please.
you share it.
Sometimes you won't be able to pinpoint the root of the insecurity right away, and you may need to go to a third party.
Yes.
If I know that there is a sensitive area, then I can at least make an effort to avoid it
Mhm.
so that I'm not causing you any further discomfort until we figure out what it is.
Good.
So, insecurities, what are we protecting? Who are we protecting? You're not helping your marriage by hiding your hurts. You've got to let it go. Air your dirty laundry so it can get washed and cleaned. That is all we have for tonight, unless
Yep.
you have something else. Good Vetta's verse, good conversation, as always, great company. Make sure you follow us on social media: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram.
Yes.
Log on, subscribe, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to the Happy House, Happy Spouse YouTube page, the Couch Conversations YouTube channel playlist, so that you can be uh, reminded every single time. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And when
Ding.
you hit the notification bell, make sure you set it to all so that you get notifications every time we upload new content. Reach out to us. Let us know what you want us to cover. We'd love to hear from you. I had a great conversation with someone today in the barbershop who watches the show, and they were talking about how it has sparked conversations with their spouse about issues and challenges and things that they've already dealt with.
Mhm.
But then they were also able to just sit back and recall, and they kind of had a wow moment. So it's out there, and we want to hear from you how it's impacting your life. So let us know what's going on. Listen, next week we'll be right back here on the couch for another touchy subject: compromise,
Compromise.
prioritizing the needs of my spouse.
Okay.
Ooh, oh Lord. We're going to talk about it, compromising. So make sure that you are here. We want to see you on the couch next week, 9 o'clock. Listen, she's Vetta,
And he's Mac.
and this has been
Couch
Couch Conversations.
Conversations.
We'll see you next week. God bless you.
See you guys. Have a great night.